Yeah, hello guys. My name is John Busayo, and I want to walk you through how you can create a sign up page in with HTML and CSS. As you can see here, I've actually created my HTML file in this folder called sign up, and my CSS also in this folder. So all I need to do is to create the skeleton, I mean the structure of my HTML by starting with this. That's this, and this will give me the basic structure of HTML, how it needs to go. This is the doc type, this is the heading, and this is the head part, and this is the body part. So what I need to do is create a section where my all my codes will actually falls into. So in this section, I'm going to create a class in which I'm going to name wrapper. So in this wrapper, this section, this is where I want to create the form I want to create. I want to create. So in this place, I'm going to create a form. Inside this form, we have action, but I'm not going to go to the action for now. But for now, I'm going to do this in which I have to write what I know as how to give this form a class or an ID. It's still go the same thing. So if I give it an ID of container, let me say container, let me call it container in this place. Open this form. All I want to do is we have different ways of creating a form. I want of creating a form. You can create an input inside a a div to give it a proper look. Or okay, let me just give it. Let me just give you an example like this. All you need to do is create a div. Create a div. Inside the div, we are going to have our inputs inside the div to make it looks or to give it a proper look and a reasonable uh, shootout at the end of the class. But before that, I'm going to create my label. Label means what I actually want to name this my input form. Now all I need to do is give this a general class or an ID. I think I've been using a class too much. So let me give this an ID of let me give it an ID of of form. Let me give it an ID of form. Let me say form in this place. So here I'm going to say this label. Let me call this label a let me what can I call it? Let me call it password or anything that can actually start with. So in my label, I'm in my sign up form. I'm going to start with registration. I'm going to start with full name, username, and email. It will contain full name, username, email, password, where you can actually confirm your password. Then a button that will takes the registration. Uh, After saying this, let me go through. Let me walk you through. Let me say in this place, I'm going to have what we known as the full name. Let me say full name in this place. Full name, full name. In my inputs, I'm going to have what we call, let me say, placeholder in this place to tell people what this input is going to what they are going to put in this space. Let me say, let me call this place full name. Let me just give it full name. Okay, this is this div for this div is actually encapsulating these inputs. Also, before that, I want to add something that will tell them, okay, this is a sign off form. So I will say span inside this span. I'm going to write inside this span. I'm going to write registration. But before that, I'll give it an ID just to style it in my CSS. So I'll call this place registration. I'll give this place registration. So I will have to say registration here. Regis- Registration. Thank you. So now I have a complete So as we can see that here we've actually created a template for the form and the template for the label. So all I need to do is just to save our time is copy this and paste it for like some copies of time. So I'll copy this place. After copying it, I will paste it like four times. So this one contains the full name and the placeholder is telling us full name in this place. So after that, I don't want, I'll have to change the full names and everything here. So we have the username, the email, the password, and the confirm password. So here I'm going to say username, username, username. So this place we tell us username, username. Not username like that. I will say enter your username, right? So that's the function of placeholder. Or I'll just say instead of saying enter your username, I'll just say enter username, and this place I will say enter full name. So after that, I have email. So I have email. Then in this placeholder, I will say enter email and just put it as small like that. Enter email. Then after that, I have password. So password. Then here I will type enter enter. Sorry for that. Enter your password. So let me just keep this simple. Enter password. I still have in. I have. Let me paste another one there. So this one will tell us confirm your password. This is where we are going to confirm our password. Confirm, confirm password. Okay, thank you. So after that, I need a button to actually tell us to sign up. So I would say button here with a with an ID of BTN. Let me give it an ID of BTN. BTN because you only have one button there. So I'll just say this will tell us sign up. Okay, sign up. Thank you. So let's see what we have been doing in our browser. So I'll come here, click on this HTML file, then I'll come to copy parts, then I'll click on copy parts. I want to come to this part and see what I'll be doing in my browser. So now you can see that I've laid down the templates of this form. One, the section is wrapper, and the form I'm actually structuring is the container here. So now the next thing is to copy parts. Click on this HTML file, then I'll come to this place. That's the copy part. Then I will click on it. Then the next thing is to come to my browser, click on this site, then paste the link to my part to my file in this browser. Then I'll enter I'll click on I'll enter. So and this will actually gives me what I'll be doing. You can see how this actually laid on each other as a block. So that's how HTML actually falls on each of them on each other. Thank you. So now the next thing is to go to my CSS and start the styling. So the next thing I will come to my CSS file and I'll give it a global style in which I'm going to say star. Then open this open this and say I want my margin to be zero. I want to have a margin of zero or true. Then I want to have a padding of what zero or true, 0% or true, 0 pixels. Sorry, 0 pixels or true. And here I want to have I'm going to have another one guys, that's box sizing, and I want my box sizing to be what to be the border box. So the next thing is to come to this place. I want to style the section here. And what I want to do here is I want to give this section this section a class wrapper a background image. This is my image I'm going to use. But before that, I want to do the simple thing in which I want to have a font. I want to have a specific font. So what I'm going to do is come to my browser, then open a new tab, and I'll say I will just go to Google Fonts. This Google Fonts. So in this Google Fonts, I'm going to choose a feature, a particular feature. So I'll just come here and let me say which one I'm going to choose. So let me come to this place. So I'll choose, I love Roboto. So I'll click on Roboto, and now we'll click on this particular site. This particular site, I want this, I want this, I want this. Those two are, they are okay. I want this, so I want that. So all I need to do is come to my uh, come to this side and say and click on this import. This I want to import it as a CSS file. I will just copy it. After copying it, then I'll come to my text editor. All I need to do is to paste it in this place. Then I'll say I'll be Control V. Here I'll remove this. I'll remove this. I didn't know that I'm already in my CSS file. So thank you. The next part is to start styling my section in which I said I'm going to add a background image to it. So now the next thing is to say, and I don't forget that this section is having a class of wrapper. So when you are styling a class, it starts with a dot. So after that, you can dot, then I'll say wrapper. That's the name of my class. Then I'll open this and say one. What I want, I'll need a background image. A background image. So the next thing is to say URL. Yeah. Now with our URL inserted. So the next thing we're going to put is this semicolon, then followed by the name of the image we want to use. That's here I'm using image21.jpg. This is the image already in my folder. Now thank you. After that, then go to my browser to view what I've done there. That's thank you. You can see one. This image have what we called repeating and other features. You can see here I don't have the full page of my browser. So what I'm going to do is uh, I'm going to initiate the width of my page. I'm going to use 100 watts 100%. I'm going to use 100%. I want it to be 100%. I want the height. I want the height to be 100 VH. That is, I want it to have the full page of what the full height of my browser. Now, after that, I'm going to have a background position. Background position to be center, and I want background repeat to be no. I don't want any repeats of my image. Background repeat. I will say no. I will set it to what no repeat. So after that, I will set the background size to be what to be cover. There's difference between auto contain and cover. In my previous video, I actually explained the meaning, the difference, the contrast between contain and cover. So here I'm going to use cover. Thank you. I'm going to say everything inside it. I want the display to be flexed, though you may not see it now. Though don't let me use it now. Okay, let me say displays to be flexed. DF. I will say DF, but then that's display flex. So now I will have to specify the display type in which I'm going to say, okay, I want the display type to be what I want the direction of my flex to be column. So I need to say flex direction to be what I want it to be column so that it will look like a block. But there is a difference between block and using what this feature. In my previous there's a video that actually there's a video that actually explains the difference between using blocks in line and block display. So there's actually the advantage of using this over block. So the next thing I'm going to say justify. Now let's see what we have done, at least for now. You can see now I have full page of what I have full page of my image, no repeats, and the image is at cover. The position is at cover. It's at cover. Now you can see where my general styling here comes into play. That is the margin zero, the padding zero, and the box border to be the box sizing to be box border. You can see here I don't have any space, and it actually starts at the beginning part. Yeah, no. Now the next thing to is to push this image to be centered in this place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say justify. I want the content to what to be at the center. So I'm going to say justify content to be at the center, and I want okay. Let's see what that one has done for us. So I'll say justify content to be center. It's actually at the center now. Now I want to put it. I want to insert this inside this place. So that will be align. I want to align. That will be align item to be what at the center. Now let's see that and let's see what that one has done for us. Thank you. Now we can see that we are on the right track. Thank you. We are actually on the right track. So the next step we are going to take is to see what we are doing on our CSS, using CSS to style what we have actually done in our HTML. And you can see that everything just spiked up as if nothing has actually happened to it. This is just a normal HTML file, a normal HTML, and we need CSS to style it up to show the beauty of what we have done with HTML. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at is at the HTML. You know, the form level has a class of container. So I'll have to take it from here, from the HTML, and style it at in our HTML. So what I need to do is say dot, then container, then open this and say the first thing I want to initiate there is the width. I want it to have a width of 40%. I mean 40% of the mother of the parent width. So it will have 40% width and a height of 100 VH. An height of 100 VH. I want it to have an height of 100 VH. So giving it an height of 100 VH, if you come to this place, actually that will give us the same story because we can't see anything here. But if we actually give, let's say I give it a background color, I give it a background color of, let me say this, view it again, and let's go back. So now we have a width of 40%. We have a width of 40% and an height of 100 VH. So that's why this one runs back to this place. So we have a way of doing that to bring it back to its normal level. It's actually not obeying the rules. I mean the center and the justification and the align center, the align elements we pronounced to it before. Why? Because it's taking another container. I mean another container for its to stay. Now let's proceed. So here after giving each width and height. So I'm going to say okay. I want the display to be what? I want it to have a display flex, and I want the flex direction to be what? I want the flex direction to be column. Thank you. So after that, that will give us a uh, good, good vision of what we are doing and where we are actually heading to. So here I would say justify content to be what? Justify content to be center. Now if you justify the justify it at the center. Now let's see what we have done. Thank you. Now here is actually starting at the center level. Now yeah, the button is not actually obeying, it's not obeying the rule here, because the which of these the button is having different, is taking different weights. Now the next thing I'm going to do is styling each of these div, because there's a particular container. This input is actually being inside a container, but here we can't see that, because one, we are not we have not specified the width and height of the div. So the div is actually taking the height and width of anything we put to it, and anything the only thing inside it is this input. So now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to style the the width, I mean the input. Yeah, what is my input? What is the div encapsulating the input? That's the div with an ID of form. So I have to go to my CSS. I have to go to my CSS and say one div or hash div hash form. Sorry. So I want it to have a width. I want it to have a width of what? Of 100%. 100% of the parent width, one. And I want it to have an height of 50 pixels. 50 pixels, 50 pixels, and a background color of this. Let me say background color, background color of this. Let me give it this white, this species of white, this species of white. Sorry for that. Now, thank you. You can now see the div, the actual container in which the input actually lies on. Do you understand? Now, the first thing I'm going to do is one, I'm going to give it a margin. I'm going to give it a margin top of what? Of 20 pixels. I'm going to give it a margin top of 20 pixels. Margin top of what? Of 20 pixels. I'm going to give it a margin top of 20 pixels and a border radius of what? Of 5 pixels. 5 pixels. Imagine border radius of what? Border radius of 5 pixels. So that being said, now let's see what we have done. Thank you. Yeah, we have actually declared it to have a margin top of what? Of 5 pixels, of margin top of 20 pixels, and border radius of what? Of 5 pixels. Thank you. Now I want it to have a display flex. I want it to have what? I want the display to be what? To be side by side. That's why I'm giving it a display flex. I'll give it a display flex here of what? I will say, come here, let it have display flex of what? Let it have a display of flex, and I want it to have I want it to have justify I want to justify the content to be what? To flex stats. I want it to have flex stats. Now let's see what we have done. We are going to see this. Thank you. Why? Because one, the input we actually put in it, we inserted in it, now has a space of its own, and we are, let's give it an align. I will align the content. Let me say align item. Align item to be what? To be center. Now everything will be at what? Everything will be at the center. We don't need to rush ourselves. Thank you. Now the item is at the center, not what? Not taking any weight and height of anything. So yeah, I'm going to now I want to bring your attention to something here. The image, the let me say the outline of this input is being showed here. We can't just leave it here like this. One, the input one is very small, and it's actually taking a small let me say division of this div. So thank you. So what I'm going to do is come here. I'm going to go to my VS Code, go to my HTML code, and now I'm going to style my C this input. Thank you. Now let me go to my CSS. I'm going to say input. I don't add anything to it. I'm just going to say input, just only input, no ID and no class added to it. Now, with that said, I'm going to say I want to give it a width or what of 80 pixels. So I want it to be like I want the input to have a max of what 80 percentage of what 80 percentage of to take 80 percentage of the of the division of that container it's being inserted. So I'll say 80 percentage, 18 percentage for that. Sorry for that. So I'll say 80%, and the height should be 30 pixel. 30 pixels. I want it to have an height of what? Of 30 pixels. Height of 30 pixels, and I don't want I don't want any unnecessary style. So I will just say border what? I want border style. I want border style to be what? None. I don't want any border style. So let's see what we have done now. Thank you. I will just refresh my website and see what's on. Now we can see that here from here to this place, take 80% of what? 80% of the normal div, this normal container, and this height, it has an height of what? Of 30 pixels. So now I don't, if I click on it, I still see the outline. But one, I don't see the border. The border is have actually disappeared. So what will I do to remove this? So all I need to do is say is just to come here and say outline. Outlines what? I don't want any outline there. So I'll say outline to be what? Outline to be none. If I come here to my website again, refresh it, if I refresh it and click on it again, you're going to see that one, we don't have any outline. So thank you. So the next thing I'm going to declare there is the background color. I want the color there to have the same color with what? With the container. So I will say background what? Background color to have the same as background color, and I want it to have a padding of what? So let me give it a padding of 20, just 20 pixels. So I'll give it a padding left. Let me give it a padding left. Why? Because I want the text to move a little bit. So I'll say padding left of what? Of 20 pixels. So let me refresh it and see what we have done. Thank you. Now they have the same color. Now we can't even see the outline, the text, the outline of the input, and the other one. Now we can see the distance from here to this place is 20 what? Is 20 pixels. I think that is okay. Thank you. Now that's for the what? That's for the input. Now let's go to the label. But I want to call your attention to something. Now there's difference between the distance between this place and this place is much, and the distance between this place and this place is not that much. So we need to add an extra feature to it. So I'll come to my HTML. I'll come to my HTML. Now, this is the label. Immediately the label, I'm going to add what we know as what? What we know as break. I have to break it in this place. So go to the next line. So I have to do it to all the form. So I'll break it there. Thank you. I have to come here again and what? I'll break it. So I'll say break again. I'll break it there. So come to this one too and what? And break it. So I think that should be all for that. So I can say, let me say break it again in this way for now. Now, so let me remove this and let me refresh. Let me refresh the website and we should have this. Thank you. We should have this. Now you can see that the distance in this place and this place is now much, so which will actually shows us what we have in this place, and that will point out what the text wants us, that will actually tells us what we need to do, input in this place, so we don't need to make any error. So now the next thing, so guys, the next thing I'm going to do is style the label. That is this text. I don't want it to be like this. it's look awkward. So the next thing I'm going to say is come to this place. You know, these places, these ones are labeled. So I'll have to come to this side in my CSS and say just label, then open this and say one. The first thing I want is I want the color. I want the color. I want the color to have this color. I want to have that color, and I want to have a font family of what? Sans serif, and I want to have font size of 50. I want it to have font size of what? Of 15 pixels. Font size of 15 pixels. So let's go back to our website and see what we have done there. So I'll have to refresh. Let me refresh. Now you can see that we can see here we have the same color with this. We have the same color with this one, and what is the next thing? The size is reduced, and the font style is getting to what we actually need. So I think that's okay for that text. So the next thing I'm going to do is this button. But before the button, let me style. I want to style this registration. Or before that, I will remove this. I don't like how it looks like, so I have to remove this. Let me remove this. Let me remove this line of code, the background color for the container, so that we are actually going to see what we have been doing since morning. Thank you. Now I think it makes sense like this. So thank you for this. Now the next thing is I want to style this registration. I don't want it to be like this. So what I'm going to do is um I'm going to say registration. Why? Because we actually give it in our HTML, we give it an ID of what? We give it an ID of registration. So I have to come to my CSS. I have to come to my CSS and say something like this: arch registration, 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 and I want a font size of what? I want font size of, let me say, 20 pixels. Let me give it font size of 20 pixels, and I want the text to be at uppercase. So I will say text text transform to what? To uppercase. So it will what? It will go to it will be written with uppercase. So let's refresh and see what we have done. Thank you. Now let's continue stay in our with our CSS. So I will say after that I'm going to say this. I want it to have font family of what? Font family of which one? Let me say sans serif. I think sans serif will be okay. Okay. After that, I want a padding top because I want it to what? To have I want it to have space. I want space to be at this place. What I mean is, come here. I want space to be at this side. You understand? So what I'm going to say is, I want it to have a padding top of what. But before that, I want to change the color. Let me change the color. Let me change the color to what? To this our normal color. To this normal color. After that, I'm going to say this. Thank you. Thank you. But I want the text at this side of the what? Of the website. What I'm going to at the center of the website. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say text what? Text aligned to what? To be at the center. Thank you. When I refresh my website, what I'm going to get is this. What I'm going to get is this. Thank you. So the next thing I'm going to do is to style the button. I think that will be the last part of what we are going to do today. So the next thing is to style the button. So I'll have to go to my CSS. So please, if you're actually facing problem, if maybe you encounter any problem during the practicing, maybe personal practice, just drop a comment and I will make sure that I get back to you. Thank you. Okay, we want to start the button now. what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to do is style the width, give it a width, give it a particular width. So I'm going to say button here. So here I'm going to say this. I want to give it a width of what? I want to give it a width of 120 pixels, 120 pixels, 120 pixels. Sorry, 120 pixels, 120 pixels, and an height. I want the height to be what? I want the height to be 30 pixels. I want the height to be 30 pixels. I want it to have height of 30 pixels and the font weight of 600. Font weight of what? Font weight of 600. How do I want that? I want the text to be bold. Look at, let's see what we have done. Thank you. Now we can see that the width has been reduced and it has a specific height. Do you understand? Now the next thing I'm going to do is increase the fonts of this text, in which I'm going to say, okay, I want it to have a font weight of what? Let me give it font weight of 600. I want it to be very bold. So if we refresh our website, now we can see the text I become bold. Now the next thing I'm going to say is the background color. I want it to have the same background color as what we have been using before. So I'm going to say background background color to be and this color. Thank you. So if we refresh our website, we are going to see this. Thank you. Now you can see we have a problem here. One, we have the border style. We have a border style in this place and we don't want the border style there. Next, we can see that the distance between here and here is very, very small, very minimal. So how can we do that? So the next thing is just to go to our CSS. But before that, make sure you know that here we can actually do that by what? By giving it one, to remove the border, we are going to say border none, because one, we don't want any border at this side. We don't want border at this side. The next thing is what? We want a margin to space this div, this container and this button. All we need to do is to give it a margin, to give this a margin top of what? Of 20 or something, maybe 20 or 10 pixels. Do you understand? So next thing I'm going to go to my CSS and I'm going to say, okay, I want it to have a font weight of 600. Thank you. And I want it to have a background color of that. Thank you. And the next thing I'm going to say, I want it to have a margin. Thank you. I want it to have a margin. I don't want it to be as close to that. So let me say 10, no, let me say 20 pixels. Let me say 20 pixels. So going back to my code, going back to my website, refresh it again. Thank you. Now you can see that we have a space at this place. Thank you. Now, thank you guys. The next thing we are going to take, we are going to do is one. I don't want any border style. So that I don't want border style. So what we are going to do is I'm going to say border style to be what? To be none. I don't want any border style. I don't want any border style to be there. Now let's refresh our website and see what we have actually done. So I'm refreshing my website now. Thank you. Now you can see that the what are they calling it? The border have been what? Have been disappeared. We don't have any border again. So the next thing we are going to do is I'm going to say cursor. Whenever I place my cursor on it, I want the cursor to show like a hand pointing into something. So I'm going to say cursor pointer. I want it to give me cursor to be what? To be pointer. Now the next thing I'm going to say is I want the border. Because if you refresh it now, if we refresh our website now you can see that it's actually showing the hand. But I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be like a professional like a professional website. So I want to give it a border. So the next thing I'm going to come in to my CSS under my button. I'm going to say border radius of what? I'm going to give it a border radius of 5 pixels. Thank you. I'm going to give it a border radius of 5 pixels. So if I refreshing my website now, let me refresh my website. You can see. So you can see how beautiful. Let me say how beautiful our login page looks like. So you are free to copy, and you are free to to exercise and maybe practice on your own. So actually looking forward to hear from more from you. But I think there's a little thing I'm going to do on this. The text in this place is the text here is very dark. I would like to reduce the intensity, should I say opacity of this text. So I'm going to come to this my HTML, come to my CSS, sorry, text, um, font, color. I'm going to say color. I'm going to say color. Let's click on black. I don't want black, so I'm just going to click on this side just to get more option for my color. So I'm going to click at this side. I want something like this. Thank you. I don't want it to be too black. So it gives me RGB 70, 69, and 69. That is RGB 70. Sorry, it gives me RGB of 70, 69, and 69. Thank you. Thank you. So let me refresh it. Let me refresh. Let me refresh my website. Now I'm going to have something like this. Can you see how cool it is now? So I think we have actually come to an end of our design. I want you to subscribe on my channel, ring the bell, and follow me for more tips on HTML and CSS. Thank you and God bless you.